Talofa lava, this is Pacific Waves from RNZ Pacific. I'm Susana Suisuki. Coming up.
We had more hope that the process would protect the interests of the most vulnerable and those with the least capacity.
There's disappointment over the climate finance deal. Also,
so our people here have very similar thinking, and that is a concern for protecting our ocean.
Overseas Cook Islanders share their thoughts on seabed mining, and later,
our job is to present ourselves over the next 2 years that we earn the respect of world rugby, and we have to play a little bit better than we did today to get that.
The Flying Fijians were no match against Ireland. Pacific climate negotiators are disappointed in the $300 billion climate finance deal made in overtime at the UN climate meeting in Azerbaijan. It falls well short of the more than $1 trillion that Pacific nations were seeking from rich nations. Caleb Fotheringham has more.
After the new finance goal was gavelled through, Chair of the Alliance of Small Island States, Toi Oli Sulusulu Cedric Schuster, was one of many negotiators who shared his disappointment.
We have crossed many oceans and continents to meet here for a comprehensive outcome on finance goal. We had more hope that the process would protect the interests of the most vulnerable and those with the least capacity. Nevertheless, we once again have shown how the global community can come together to find solutions that serve humanity.
He says more ambition is needed.
On the overall finance goal, AOSIS is concerned over the lack of willingness to meet the needs of the vulnerable developing countries.
The new goal replaces the $100 billion that developed countries were previously giving to developing nations for climate action. It was set in 2009 and was reached in 2022, 2 years later than was anticipated. The new $300 billion goal is due in 2035, and there is a broader goal of reaching $1.3 trillion, which will come from private investors and a range of new sources. A spokesperson from Pacific Islands Climate Action Network says the outcomes represent a catastrophic failure.
This COP was framed as the finance COP, a critical moment to address the glaring gaps in climate finance and advance other key agenda items. However, not only did COP29 fail to deliver adequate finance, but progress also stalled on crucial issues.
Fiji's chief climate negotiator, Savindra Michael, told parties at COP29 that small island states are being asked to be quiet.
We came here to make up for lost time. We came here to re-establish hope. But we have been continuously asked to ignore our needs, close our eyes, and step backward. We will not entertain that request.
However, Fiji's Deputy Prime Minister Biman Prasad says it's not all negative, as the region is also able to promote the Pacific Resilience Facility,
which is a homegrown Pacific innovation in terms of creating a fund that will be managed by the Pacific Islands, and the economic ministers and the forum leaders endorsed Tonga as the host, and already pledges have been made, and we're looking at a target of 250 million.
Fiji's sugar minister previously said delegates attending the meeting were wasting time, describing them as a financial burden to their respective countries. But Mr. Prasad says a lot of the criticism stems from ignorance.
Those that are directly involved in the negotiation would obviously see these things very differently, and those who understand the processes. Of course, there will always be views about the size of the delegation and what outcomes, and we have had many COPs. I mean, some have been disappointments, some have made some progress.
Pacific leaders are supporting Australia's bid to host COP31 in 2026. Leaders in the region have publicly criticised Canberra's climate policies, particularly at the country being one of the world's largest coal exporters.
Australia, New Zealand and the Pacific always have frank and honest and open discussion. And I think hosting COP in the Pacific would be a plus in terms of our discussion and our ability to work together to address any concerns that we might have about Australia.
A decision on the COP31 host was not made before the Baku event wrapped up, with Turkey also keen to host.
A woman last seen on surveillance video in Los Angeles is now officially missing. The family of Hannah Kobayashi is pleading for her safe return. The 30-year-old Hawaii woman missed a flight connection in LA, and after a series of suspicious texts from her phone, she has gone silent. and her family now fears she may have been abducted. CNN's Veronica Miracle has more.
Please, please, please do not stop saying her name.
Worried family and friends of a missing woman are asking anyone for help, desperate in their search for Hannah Kobayashi.
These little postcards, these are to hand out to people.
The 30-year-old from Hawaii disappeared November 11th. Surveillance images and bizarre texts are the only clues family members have.
If someone has her, I want you to look at the pictures that we have posted. I want you to see this family, and I want you to know that she is so loved.
2 weeks ago, Kobayashi flew from Maui to Los Angeles. She was supposed to go on to New York, but never made her connecting flight here at LAX. Family members say they have seen footage of her running to get to her gate, but missed the flight due to a tight 40-minute layover. For the next 3 days, family members say they were in touch with Hannah as she kept going back to LAX to try and book a new flight. Family members even spoke to an airline checking agent who spoke with Hannah.
Basically that she was just frustrated. She was done. She wanted to get a direct flight to JFK. She even talked about, getting a direct flight to Maui. And they said, unfortunately, you have to book a brand new ticket, which is expensive.
When she wasn't at LAX, family members say she was spotted at a popular outdoor mall in Los Angeles. 2 days in a row, she was seen at the Grove, once in a bookstore, and another day she was caught on camera by a vlogger. She also posted a picture on Instagram from an event at the mall. During the 3 days her phone was on, in addition to speaking with her family, she was also in touch with friends. Some shared screenshots of texts from Kobayashi before she went silent. Mysterious messages like, "Deep hackers wiped my identity, stole all of my funds, and have had me on a mind since Friday," one message said. "I got tricked pretty much into giving away all my funds," another text read, followed by one saying, "For someone I thought I loved." Family members say these text messages do not sound like the Hannah that they know and love.
Do you think that she is behind these text messages, or do you think someone else is writing these texts?
There's two cases of scenarios. It's that someone has her phone that's writing the text, someone's forcing her to write these texts, or she's not okay and she's writing these texts.
The last place Hannah was seen was at this train station in downtown Los Angeles. Family members say they've seen footage of her on the train with someone they don't recognize and leaving the train station with that same person. They've now posted flyers all over the area in hopes that someone recognizes Hannah.
Hannah, you are loved. You're missed, yeah. And we're here for you.
The Cook Islands diaspora living in New Zealand and Australia have the opportunity to express their opinions on seabed minerals activities back home. A delegation led by the Cook Islands Prime Minister is touring New Zealand, holding consultations with the community. Tiana Haxton attended the first gathering in Auckland.
Cook Islands Prime Minister Mark Brown says seabed minerals can be used in the global push to transition to renewable energy. With an estimated 6.7 billion tonnes of cobalt-rich nodules within the Cook Islands EEZ, Brown says he wants all Cook Islanders to be informed, and that includes meeting with those living overseas.
What we've done is conducted a series of consults to bring them along on the journey that we're taking as a nation in looking at the possibility of our seabed minerals as a way to support this transition away from fossil fuels towards renewable energy. And of course, renewable energy requires critical metals, and our nodules in our deep ocean contain the very critical metals that the world needs to transition to green energy.
Brown says the community in Aotearoa have the same queries and concerns as those back home.
So our people here have very similar thinking, and that is a concern for protecting our ocean, to ensure that we have measures in place to protect our seabed resource, but also to ensure that any potential benefits that we can derive from our resources are directed towards the benefits and help the standard of living of Cook Islanders.
One audience member questioned how the Seabed Minerals Authority has responded to recent protests revolving around the potential environmental impacts of mining activities. Commissioner Alex Herman says the concerns are valid.
The concerns that people are raising in the protests, those are the same concerns that we have. We all agree here, that we want to protect our marae moana. We all agree that until we have sufficient science and information, we should not be proceeding to that next step.
Herman says the public feedback is crucial to the development of policies, rules and regulations.
These consultations, they are meaningful for us, and we actually do look at it genuinely and say, what more can we do to improve the development of the sector? Our policies, our regulations, our laws, even the science, all of this knowledge is evolving. And as we learn more, we continue to improve it. One of the sources of that information is from our own people, our Cook Islands people.
This week, the delegation held consultations in Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch, Dunedin and Tokoroa, the main hubs of Cook Island populations. President of the House of Ariki, Travel Tu'u Ariki, says involving overseas Cook Islanders is important.
I'm so pleased that our Prime Minister brought these consultations here because we as traditional leaders want to make sure no one is left behind. When the time comes, if we choose to mine, the rewards will be reaped by all Cook Islanders, even those living in Australia and New Zealand.
Tu'uariki says he was particularly interested by the thoughts of the younger generation at the consultations.
We want to hear from all our people, so I was very impressed by the concerns brought up by the youth. We won't judge or criticise their questions because they are the ones that will step up and lead our people one day.
With consultations in New Zealand wrapping up, the delegation are now looking to travel to Australia early next year to connect with the diaspora there.
The Flying Fijians ended their 4-match tour of Europe with a big loss to Ireland in Dublin on Sunday morning. And there were calls by both Captain Waisia Nayadalevu and Coach McByrne for fair refereeing, as the Fijians were thrashed 52-17. Eliasa Tora with the report.
Coach Byrne highlighted 2 incidents during the game where he thought referee Holly Davidson was biased. He says Irish fly half Sam Prendergast should have had his yellow card upgraded to red for his shoulder charge on Fijian flanker Kitione Salawa, and a try in the end where a green jersey was holding on to the white jersey were questionable.
Oh no, I think he was wearing a green jersey, so it stayed yellow. The 50-50s. That last try, if you have another look at it, the green jersey holding onto the white jersey, nothing happens at TMO. I'm sure if it was the other way around, we might not have got that try allowed, but it's our job. Our job is to present ourselves over the next 2 years that we earn the respect of world rugby, and we have to play a little bit better than we did today to get that.
Captain Adelewu says fair play calls from match officials are critical, especially when Tier 2 teams are playing their Tier 1 opponents and wanting to make a positive impression.
Because we go out there and we give our best. We train all week to be disciplined, play the game the way we want to play. And at the end of the day, match officials make the calls. And sometimes it doesn't go your way. It's frustrating at the moment it's happening. And if we can have that fair play call, then we can play more entertainment rugby. And we get more momentum as well going into our game, playing what we want to play.
Nadalewu says he also acknowledged that his players committed too many mistakes and took away the chances they had as they worked on getting back to playing their own game.
It's quite frustrating for me, to be honest, because we gave out a lot of penalties and then back-footing most of the time. And probably in our defence as well, our connection and our communication was not really up. Playing against big teams, we can't afford to get 2 yellow cards and 17 penalties. That just take away the game we want to play.
The Fijians rounded off their 4-match tour with 2 wins and 2 losses, with Burns saying they would need to lift their game as they continue to work on being consistent.
Probably defensively, we let a few lapses there. Ireland are a good side, they're well drilled, they had the right numbers at the right part of the field, and we probably let a couple of tries in, but thought early on we were in the game and I would have liked that try. They talk about game of inches, and would have liked that try early on in the game to go across. We set that up and executed it well. It's just one of those things.
Meanwhile, the Kaletahi of Tonga also lost their last tour game, going down 22-7 to Georgia on Monday morning. The loss means the Friendly Islanders, under new coaches Tevita Tuifua and Nili Latu, have lost 9 out of their 10 games this year. The team lost to Romania and the USA in their other 2 tour matches.
That's Pacific Waves for today. For all episodes, head over to rnz.co.nz/Pacific. We're also on Spotify, Apple and iHeartRadio. From myself and the RNZ Pacific team, tō whā sui fua.